Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have back with me Deb Rouse, the Executive Director of the Kerrville Folk Festival. Deb, welcome back.
Thank you. It's always great to be here.
Deb, we're recording this in, I guess, mid-December, and I wanted to use this opportunity to maybe ask you to take a look back into the fall and Q4 of 2024, but also to highlight 2025, what you guys are doing now and where we're going to be in May.
I would be delighted to talk about that. Of course, we wrapped up our Welcome Home Fest in October. It was beautiful weather. It was a lovely weekend of good music and reconnection. Everyone had a great time. Was, we think, very successful. So we're very happy with how that went. Of course, we're gearing up for 2025. Tickets for the 2025 Kerrville Folk Festival are on sale right now. You can go to our website, kerrvillefolkfestival.org, to buy tickets. Right now, we're in what we call our blind presale, which means these are the cheapest tickets that we offer. But if you buy them now, you're buying them without seeing our lineup. You're just going to take it on faith that our lineup is going to be awesome to get those very good prices on tickets for KFF 2025. The other thing we started this year is we now have a payment plan. If you don't think you can purchase your tickets all in one fell swoop, you can go on a payment plan to pay them off gradually, heading up into our May 22nd KFF Kerrville Folk Festival. So we're very excited about that. Right now, we have 18-day and half fest ticket packages on sale. You can also, at that point in time, sign up for our RV slot waiting list. So that's where we are with Kerrville Folk Festival 2025. We're in the booking process right now, and I'm pretty excited about some of the things that we're working on. The other thing we're gearing up for is one of our flagship events, which is our Kerrville Folk Festival Grassy Hill New Folk Singer-Songwriter Competition. This is the 50th anniversary of that competition being a judged competition. Last year, we had 1,341 entries that through a rigorous screening process, we narrowed down to the 24 finalists who came out to the festival and performed. And from that, we choose 6 winners, and they get a number of great prizes, including a Texas House Country a Texas Hill Country House Concert tour put together from them, so they get an opportunity to tour Central Texas and play a number of venues there. And I was hoping I could talk a little bit about that competition and what the screening for that looks like, because there's been a lot of mystery around it in the past, but we've worked hard to put as much rigor as we can onto what is an inherently subjective process.
Sure, and maybe you could even start with how does someone apply?
How does someone apply? We are going to open applications for that on January 7th. They will close on March 7th. So it's a 2-month period of time you have to enter. You go to our website under New Folk Competition, and you upload 2 songs, audio only, and you pay your entry fee and put your name in. You can enter as many times as you want, as long as you don't repeat songs. And from there, it goes into our screening process. And our screening process we have 2 rounds. The first round is screening everything. And we have 3 groups of screeners that will listen to a third of all the entries that come in. And then we take the top, usually with 3 groups, we'll have 3 groups of round 1 screeners. We'll take approximately the top 40 from each of those groups. So even if one group is a harder scorer than the other, we're still taking the top of those groups, regardless of what those scores are. And from there, we go to round 2. And we usually have 10 to 12 round 2 screeners that listen to everything that made it through the first round. And from there, they narrow it down to the top 24. I usually make the final call when there are people on the bubble of that final 24, and those end up being our 24 finalists. By the time your songs get into the finals, you've been listened to by anywhere from 14 to 16 professional songwriters. So it's as much rigor as we can bring to a process that, as I stated, is subjective. And how a song hits you may be different than how it hits another judge, but they're all good songs and we hear a lot of good things. We hear some not so great things, but it's a growing process. What else? Oh, I have some sage advice if you would like to enter.
Absolutely.
The best advice I can give aspiring singer-songwriters when they're entering this competition is, first and foremost, let someone else choose your songs. Whether that's your friends, your fans, or your family, they all know the songs they want to hear every time you play. Songwriters tend to be in love with their last song, which may not be their best song. So ask your friends, what should I submit? Because they're going to have a better read on it than you probably do. The other one is that we are very lyrics driven. So, to the extent that your lyrics are either covered up by your instrument tracks or are so produced that it's hard to make out the lyrics, it's hard for the judges. They don't get lyric sheets, they only go on what they hear. So, it's super important to make sure your lyrics can be clearly understood. And that kind of lends itself to a more stripped down version of your songs. If you have an album produced cut that you want to submit, that's perfectly fine. But every year we have people who end up in the finals who recorded their song in their garage on a cell phone with just them and a guitar. So we're really looking for more than production value.
So what would you say? You said there's several different prizes and you mentioned the house tour.
Mhm.
Is there really any bigger prize than going on the main stage at the Kerrville Folk Festival? Whether it's for the publicity or whether it's just for their heart.
Absolutely. But songwriting is a tough gig. You put yourself out there. It's like it's hard to say don't take it personally if someone doesn't like your song, but of course they do. It's a part of them. It's who they are. It's their heart and soul being poured into that. And more than anything else, even just make it into the 24 for a lot of songwriters is validation that they are doing something right. And every year we get people who, I'll give you a good example. There is a gentleman who won a few years ago named Daniel Bowling out of New Mexico. He had entered for over 20 years before he finally cracked into the top 24. This year we had someone who commented when she was selected as a finalist, apparently the 17th time is the charm. So there are songwriters that have been submitting to this for whatever, and whether it's the songs that they submitted that just wasn't their year or their craft has elevated, we encourage people to keep submitting because there are lots of times that we have people who have done this for decades before they finally crack that nut.
I know you have been involved with the Folk Festival for many years, but it seems like this is about the end of your first year as the executive director.
Close. I started, I'm pretty sure, on April 1st of 2023.
Okay.
So it's technically been a year and a half or so. I became the full-time executive director on July 1st of 2023. So yeah, I'm a little over a year in.
I was wondering if you reflect back and give us 2 or 3 of your personal highlights as you've moved into this new role.
Oh, there's so many. One of the things I really love is I've gotten to connect with so many more people on a much deeper level and hear the things that they really care about and are passionate about and would like to see changed, improved, or amended as part of the overall festival experience. And I love doing that. I love like saying, oh, we can do that. All you had to do was ask, and we can totally do that. I mean, it's where the payment plan came from. We heard from enough people that, man, it's just such a lot of money and I have to save up. And by then, tickets are more expensive. And we're like, oh, we can do a payment plan. So those things are really great for me. Every festival, when all the hard work of my staff all pays off, especially that first day of festival when I'm looking out from backstage and I see so many people that are happy to be there and having a great time. And I think, yeah, this is what the last 6 months of blood, sweat, and tears is really all for.
One of my observations about your tenure is I see you at every night I'm there, you're out there listening. And I don't know if what's going on inside of you, but outward appearance is relatively calm.
The facade is intact.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to ask. And what I wanted to ask is you've done the work, you've done the blood, sweat, and tears, and now you get to see the benefits of it. Is it still your baby and you have to worry about it every second?
Every day throughout the festival, I know when I get up, I am going to face a problem. It just is the nature of the business. We've been out at that ranch for 50 years. Our infrastructure is aging. We tax that infrastructure more during the festival than we do the rest of the year. So there are going to be bobbles. There's going to be a performer that missed their flight and isn't going to make it for their set. There's going to be a problem with the sound. There's going to be a beer chiller that goes out the day before the festival starts. And I'm like, we cannot start a festival in Texas with no beer. So there are those things, and I do worry, but for the most part, I have great staff and they're going to come to me with both problems and solutions in most cases, which I'm grateful for. And I'll give final sign off, but I have great confidence in both my volunteer staff and my paid staff to be able to go solve those problems once I give them the authority to do that. So that's always the case. I do recognize that for the most part, if I'm smiling and look like everything's okay, people are going to assume it's okay. And 99% of the time, it's okay.
So the other thing is, I really felt this last year that we maybe had changed generations or there was a generational shift. There are the people that you and I grew up with that we can name like the back of our hand that we absolutely love. We loved them in the 70s. We love them now. But there's an entire new generation that is waiting to be introduced to people like you and me.
Yes.
And is that really part of what you see or your vision or the mission of the folk festival?
Absolutely. And I take that very seriously that we consider ourselves to be what's called a discovery festival, that we want people to come out and attend our festival because there are a bunch of names on the roster that they don't know. I want everyone to go home with a new favorite. And back in the day, there was the first time you heard Jerry Jeff Walker, and there was the first time you heard Guy Clark. And I want us to still be providing those first times for a new generation. And I take that seriously and I love doing that. Um, it's sometimes a difficult thing with our established crowd. They want to see their old favorites, but we absolutely have to be introducing new acts as it mixed in with some of the traditional acts if we are going to keep being relevant as a discovery festival. And it's one of the things I both love and hate at times about my job is the curation aspect. I have a somewhat limited budget. We're an 18-day festival, so I have a lot of days to fill. And there are so many people that I would love to book that, believe it or not, even over an 18-day festival, I can't fit them all in.
Deb, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, but before we leave, you've already given the website's location once, but here at the end, could you give it again?
Sure. It's kerrvillefolkfestival.org. That's all spelled out, kerrvillefolkfestival.org. And one other exciting tidbit, we are rolling out a new website in January. So hopefully it'll be even easier to navigate, but that website's also a great place if you just want to go check out sort of what the festival's like We have a bunch of videos posted. We talk a little bit about the history. You can read sort of the evolution of the festival since it started in 1972 at the Kerrville Municipal Auditorium. In attendance at that event were LBJ and Darrell Royal together for the very first Kerrville Folk Festival that was here in Texas. So thank you for having me. It's always a delight.
I look forward to continuing this conversation in 2025.
Absolutely. Thanks, Tom.